Have you ever felt lost, like you were wandering through life without a clear direction? Meet Daniel, a man who had everything on paper but felt empty inside. His story may just be your story. Daniel had followed the blueprint of success. Graduate from a top university, land a high-paying job, buy a house in the city. From the outside, he was the definition of achievement. But inside, he felt like a man drifting in an ocean with no shore in sight. One evening, as he scrolled through social media, he stumbled upon an ad for a storytelling retreat in Greece. A spontaneous urge took hold of him, and before he could overthink it, he booked a ticket. Perhaps a change of scenery would silence the nagging emptiness within him. What he didn't know was that this single decision would change his life forever. The crossroads. Daniel sat in his car, staring at the rain trickling down the windshield. He had spent 10 years climbing the corporate ladder, earning promotions, accolades, and a fat paycheck. But tonight, stuck in traffic, something inside him cracked. Daniel, frustrated. Why does this feel so meaningless? I have what I wanted. So why do I feel empty? A flash of memory hit him, his childhood dream of becoming a writer, creating stories that would change lives. But that dream? He had buried it beneath spreadsheets and board meetings, the unexpected guide. That weekend, Daniel met up with an old friend, Mr. Aide, a retired professor who always seemed to know the right thing to say. Mr. Aide, chuckling, "Daniel, you remind me of a traveler who forgot why he started his journey in the first place. Tell me, what story are you living?" Daniel, confused. "What do you mean, sir?" Mr. Aide, "Every great story has a purpose, a reason the hero embarks on a journey. But somewhere along the way, distractions come. They look like success, money, expectations, but they blur the real vision. Daniel, what was your original story?" The mirror moment. That night, Daniel sat alone with an old notebook, the one where he had once written stories as a child. As he flipped through the pages, he saw his younger self's words, young Daniel, reading softly. "One day I will tell stories that help people see the world differently." Deep sigh, pen scratching paper. Daniel realized his purpose had always been there, hidden beneath the noise of life. He had to write again, not for money or fame, but to fulfill the calling deep inside him. The journey begins. With renewed clarity, Daniel took a leap of faith. He traveled to Greece for the retreat, where he met writers, poets, and artists who lived for their craft. He wrote at sunrise by the Aegean Sea and shared stories under the stars. For the first time in years, he felt alive. His journey didn't stop there. He traveled to India, where he lived in an ashram, learning about the power of storytelling in ancient cultures. In Japan, he studied the art of minimalistic storytelling from a master haiku poet. In Africa, he sat by campfires, listening to elders pass down wisdom through generations-old folk tales. Each place, each experience, breathed life into his words. The rise to success. Daniel started writing every morning before sunrise. He published short stories online, gained a loyal readership, and eventually wrote his first book. It wasn't an instant success, but he persisted. His breakthrough came when a well-known publisher stumbled upon his blog. Within months, his book hit the shelves. Soon, invitations started pouring in, interviews, conferences, TEDx events, and book signings. He had found his voice, and the world was listening. His second book became an even bigger hit, landing on bestseller lists. Companies sought him out to speak at leadership retreats, universities invited him for guest lectures, and he was even featured in a documentary about modern thinkers. Living the dream. Years later, Daniel had written 5 books, each one inspiring thousands of people. He became a sought-after speaker, traveling the world to share his journey. And yes, he became wealthy, but more importantly, he was happy. One evening, as he stood on stage addressing a packed auditorium, he spotted a young man in the crowd, wide-eyed with inspiration, the same way Daniel had once looked at Mr. Aid. At that moment, he knew his journey had come full circle. He no longer felt lost. He was living the story he was meant to tell. Final thought. Finding clarity of purpose is like rediscovering the story you were always meant to tell. If you feel lost, ask yourself, what story am I living? Is it the one I was meant to tell? Because sometimes the answers we seek are hidden in the stories we've forgotten. If you found this story inspiring, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more content on finding your purpose, storytelling, and personal growth. Hit the like button, share this with someone who needs it, and let us know in the comments, what's the story you are meant to tell? See you in the next video.